Signagelive offers tons of flexibility when it comes to how and when you publish your digital signage content, providing you with a robust suite of features to ensure that your digital signage displays show what you want when you want it. And this precise scheduling of content is achieved using some of our powerful capabilities. This includes the likes of recurrence at both asset and schedule levels and setting validity on particular pieces of content. Each of these content management features serve very particular use cases, and today I'm going to show you how you would use each one and how to manage and publish your content in the most efficient manner. So let's waste no more time and jump right in. Okay, let's start with recurrence at a schedule level, which is also known as publishing between the chosen time and dates. I'll show you why now. Here I am in my Signagelive network now. I'm going to go up to content and then publish. Now the very first thing that we are presented with are our three options of when do we want our content to play. Now if we are scheduling with recurrence, we're going to select this middle option here, which is between the chosen time and dates. The best way to think about this is an overall control for when a playlist of content is going to be active and displayed on our screens. So any window of time that I'm setting here, that means content will be on screen. That means that I can start that from right now, which is 12:23, or I can start this in the future if I want to. So I can set this on Wednesday, and this content, even if I publish it right now at this very second, this content will not be live on my player, whichever player I publish it to, until 12:23 on Wednesday. In this case, because I've got the end date set to until further notice, that means that that will be set indefinitely until I publish a different schedule that will overwrite this particular schedule. So if I were to publish this as it is until further notice, and then after Wednesday, for example, I came and published a brand new schedule that runs from Friday until further notice, the Friday schedule will take priority over the other schedule because it has been published more recently than that last schedule. Hopefully that makes sense. Alternatively, if I actually want my content to end at a particular date, I can set my start date as I've done here, and I can choose a date for when this will end as well. So let's say I end this the following week. Well, this will be active until Wednesday the 30th of July. Let's put it at the same time now. So if I now change this to 12:23, this will mean that my content, even if I publish it right now, it's not going to be displayed on my screens until Wednesday the 23rd of July. It will then remain on my screen until the 30th of July, which is a week after that, at 12:23. At that time, the content will be removed from my screen and will no longer be visible on screen. It's very handy for if you have a particular promotion and you have a particular playlist dedicated to that promotion that you want to publish to your players. And let's say it's a playlist of content regarding a limited time offer that you might have in store. Well, if that offer ends in the future, you can publish this right now. You can choose when it's ending in the future, and then you can be hands off and let the playlist do all the hard work for you. You can then schedule whatever content will come next after the recurrence of this schedule comes to an end. And again, we can get even more granular with this. We can go down to selected days. So let's take this schedule we have now. If I change this to a few weeks in the future, let's go till, I don't know, end of August, right? So we've got a good few weeks window where this content should be active. But in this case, because I've chosen for it to only be active on Thursdays, that means that although this content will not technically be delivered to my screen until Wednesday the 23rd of July, as you see here, it's only going to be displayed on any Thursdays between Wednesday the 23rd of July and Wednesday the 27th of August. And we can set whether we have this every 1 week or we can set it to 2 weeks, however many weeks we want. Obviously, when you're getting into more granular scheduling like this, it's important to make sure that your end date is very clear. In this case, if I set this schedule to be active every Thursday every week, obviously, after the 27th of August, I'm not going to see this on that following Thursday because the schedule has come to an end, as dictated by this end that we've set here. So just bear that in mind if you are playing around with the recurrence here at schedule level. And again, if you want to get more granular and go down to a time level, you can of course set the times in which this schedule is active. So again, if I wanted this to only be active between a certain time, so let's say it's only active between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. This will now mean from Wednesday the 23rd of July up until the 27th of August, every 1 week on the Thursday, so every Thursday between that window of time I've just dictated, only between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock will this content or this playlist be displayed on screen. Again, hopefully that makes sense. I know that the more granular we get into this, the more confusing this can feel. But as long as you think of it this way, this is the active period for our entire playlist. So as long as you've got your start and your end time set correctly, anything that happens in between that window of time is what you are dictating down here. Once you are finished setting up your schedule, the good thing is that you can read a description of your schedule right at the top here. So in this case, play on Thursday between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. between the 23rd of July 2025, and the 27th of August. So it gives you an overall definition of what you're actually scheduling. Hopefully that makes it a bit more clear when you are coming to build these schedules out in such a way. And of course, we would complete the publication by choosing what we want to publish, whether it's a playlist or a layout, and then we would go to what players we want to publish to as well. But that's scheduling content at a schedule level. But we can get even more granular with this, and we can do this at an asset level as well. So as opposed to it being just the playlist that we're talking about here now, we can actually schedule the individual assets within a playlist to display at particular times and dates. Let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go into content, playlists, create and edit. I'm now going to open up one of the playlists on these screens behind me now. I'm going to grab this one here, and you can see that we've got a video here. At the moment, this is just one video in a single playlist that's just looping around. Within any asset within Signagelive or in a playlist, I can double click on that asset or that piece of content, and it will take me into the asset properties for that particular piece of content. So I'm going to double click on this, or I can click on the three little dots here and then click properties, and that will take me to here. Now obviously I've got preview here, which is great, but what we're going to go over to today is go over to validity. Now, validity allows us to set a start and end date for this content to be valid. Going back to the schedules earlier, if I published a playlist indefinitely, so it wouldn't have an end date, but I wanted a particular piece of content to end at a particular time, I could do that here at the asset level. So I can set the validity to be Wednesday at 12:23 until the following Wednesday at 12:23, like so. So what this means is now, if I now press OK and hover over this asset, you can see that this asset is now valid between that particular date. And that's handy because going back to that example from earlier about time-sensitive advertisements, if I had a playlist of content, but then I only had one video within there that was an ad that I wanted to stop at a particular time. Again, let's say it's like a limited time offer that only runs for a week, and I want that asset to end, but I don't want the rest of the playlist to end. I want that to carry on. Well, this is where setting your validity at asset level is going to be particularly handy. It just gives you that more granular control that isn't affecting your whole playlist and is only affecting particular assets that you choose. If I were to save this playlist and then go ahead and publish it, I could now choose to do this between the time and dates if I wanted to, and I could leave it until further notice, and I could have the confidence to know that the asset is going to end at the time that I specified within that validity period. And like before, once this validity period comes to an end, this piece of content will automatically be removed from that playlist and from your content rotation on your screens. And to show you how that would look when that validity period has passed, if I now set this validity to be in the past, so a minute ago or 2 minutes ago, this asset expired, if I now press OK and I hover over this, I can see that there's a red indicator here which tells me that this is no longer valid, meaning that if I saw this in a playlist with lots of other content, you can see that I've got the green indicators here, meaning that they are currently valid, and therefore if this playlist is published, I would see that content on screens. Well, with this red one here, that means that I'm not going to see that on the screen. It's been removed from the rotation. And of course, hovering over it, I get a top-down view of that validity period there. So you can see it's got the validity valid from 21st of July 2025 until 12:39 on the 21st of July 2025. If I double click on this asset again, I'm now going to show you the Recurrence tab here. This Recurrence tab allows you to get a bit more granular with it. You can then set particular time and days at which this content is going to be shown. So think of the validity once again as the active time for the asset, similar to how we had it on the schedule. That's the active time. And then the recurrence within that is what times within that scheduled window is it going to be shown on screen. And once again, when the validity comes to an end, the indicator will go red as you saw earlier, and this content will no longer be shown on screen. So let's summarize what we've learned here today. Using recurrence at schedule level defines the overall active period for a playlist that you publish. So if you set it to start one date and you set it to end another, those are the times that your playlist will be active within. When that schedule comes to an end, if you defined one, that entire playlist will be removed from the visibility of your screens. But making use of that validity and that recurrence at both asset and schedule levels allows you to automate that publication or that displaying of time-sensitive content or regularly occurring messages. And this is reducing that manual intervention and the configuration of finicky schedules. And it allows you to set it and forget it. Once you've configured your recurrence or your validity schedule, either at schedule or at asset level, you can walk away and know that your content is going to be displayed at the times that you've determined, and it's going to be removed from the times that it is no longer active. Meaning that if your screens are displaying time-sensitive content, Your content's not going to overstay its welcome on your screens, but the best part is that it allows you to schedule your content in advance, so you can spend less time worrying about whether you scheduled your happy hour ad to go live on your screens, and you can spend more time in happy hour. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions about anything we've discussed today, please do get in touch and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, check out our help center. I'll put a link on screen now and that will give you more information about all of these advanced scheduling methods. Thanks for watching. Until next time.